Hey everyone, welcome to the next episode of This Isn't Fun Anymore podcast. My name's Phil.
I'm Chris.
And today's episode is kind of a special one.
Yep.
We light some candles,
We
turn down the lights,
listen to some Sade.
and we put on some music. By that, I mean, we are talking about soundtracks today.
That is right. So we do a little trickeration. We tried to play music that we were talking about, or at least music from the game we were talking about as we were talking, to make it a little bit more interesting and a little bit more engaging if you didn't know specifically what we were talking about. So hopefully it worked out. There may be a couple of pauses. There may be some bad audio, so we apologize ahead of time. Hopefully this is not our last episode because we got sued by all the people that own the rights to the music.
Yeah.
So don't tell them, guys.
Yeah. We have no money to take.
But if you do enjoy us, subscribe on iTunes or go to our website. This is a Funny More podcast.
Blah, 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 blah.
Also, guys, I know I'm going to try to get out ahead of the angry tweets that we get all the time every week. We did not talk about Super Mario or, any of the Mario games in our soundtrack episode just because we thought it was too obvious. So we wanted to talk about more things that were specific to us that maybe not everyone thought of.
Yeah.
So as a consolation prize, I will play some Mario music as our intro this week. Yeah.
I like it.
All right, guys.
Enjoy the episode.
I don't know. I guess we'll just jump into it. Banter.
Yep. Can we start with that? Banter. Welcome to this week's episode.
We made it to episode 17.
18 it is.
Yep, Phil's always ahead.
I do too on the way over. Every time.
Yeah, well, if that was the case, you'd be up to like 100 then.
That's true. Because I think if you take 16, you times it by 2 every time. Yeah, probably a million.
I'm no science mathematician major.
No, none of us are.
But I know 16 times 2 is 100.
Yeah, I think so.
Welcome to the episode. We don't really have any news this episode, and the only response we got about the different formats of the show was from Pops Jake Jarvie, who said he likes the list episodes, but he also likes the other episodes. So that's the same as saying nothing, Jake. That didn't help us. Thank you for your support, but we can't mark you down in both categories. All right, off to a great start. But so for this episode, we are going to go back to the sort of list format.
Yeah, we're going to keep doing the list until people tell us to not do the list.
To not do it, right. This one's going to be different than last time because the topic we've chosen is soundtracks. So if all goes according to plan, we're going to try to play samples of songs from the game or just specific songs that we liked. Yeah. And then use that.
Yeah, not from every game we list because that would make this a 9-hour episode.
Right.
And it would be a lot of finding music to games.
So there might be a couple pauses as we load up the music, but we thought it was more interesting if we could sort of listen to the music rather than just try to describe it, because after like the 5th time trying to describe a song, it's all going to sound the same.
Bum 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 instead of the bum 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 boo. I like how we both went low on that. That's
good. That was the other option other than up.
It could have been higher. Could have been bum 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 and bum 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 bum.
I'm sorry, I'm not a music major like you, Phil.
Well, 10 years at Princeton. It'll get you somewhere.
Doing a cappella.
Yep.
I don't know. I'll just preface this by saying that I know absolutely nothing about music. So all of my decisions for this list was just based on experience or nostalgia. Okay. It wasn't like a technical thing, being like, oh, they did a really good job of
hitting the crescendos.
Okay, that word I know. But other than that, so I don't know. I don't know how you chose your list, but I'm assuming based on past experience that it's probably similar to mine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. The music major was a joke that this Chris decided to tell. But yeah, most of my soundtracks are based on guts and being like, yeah, this sounds real nice. I wanna put my finger in it.
Yep.
And then
okay.
and then the other is I do have some nostalgia based ones that may not be great soundtracks, but because I know it so well, it's hard not to put it on there. Again, this isn't a definitive top 5.
No, this is, at least mine are in no particular order.
Yeah. Mine either. Mine are just written down.
Yeah, and I would say, because we both kind of wrote them down, let's just do them randomly. Don't even say them in the order that you wrote them down in.
Okay. Oh, now I gotta mentally mix
them
up.
You don't have to. I was just saying, because number 1 for both of us, the top of both of our lists was the same game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we want to start with that one. I mean, I don't think we should go chronologically, but I do kind of just want to be like, I don't want to do like 15 8-bit games in a row.
Okay.
And then do a new game. Like, I think if we can, just to make it more interesting to listen to.
We'll just we'll work it on the fly.
Fine.
That's what we always do. Yeah. Who wants to start?
You can start.
Okay.
No, I disagree.
Damn it. I will start with a game that I'm playing now.
Okay.
Mass Effect. We'll start Mass Effect. I put the whole trilogy on here. This is all included.
Fair enough. I will say I think 2 maybe was the best soundtrack overall. Just because I can remember the music from that.
Yes, I do. I think 2's better. The reason this is kind of my, I know it's also on your list, so we'll be able to talk about this.
Yeah.
But I feel like Mass Effect has a really great soundtrack that they hide it in the background of other things. What I mean by that is, like, there'll be this really awesome song that's happening, or, orchestral thing, but it's also in the middle of this epic firefight where there's a lot of explosions and screaming, and you don't actually get to sit and have the music affect you or listen to it. And I think they have their moments where all of a sudden it's a super dramatic part and it's just a cutscene and you get to enjoy it, and that's when it really shines. And there are battle sounds or battle songs that I'm like, this is really great, but I can't focus on it because I don't want to die. Yeah. And then I feel like those kind of get hidden behind a wealth of just gun sound effects and people yelling and screaming and your party talking.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, okay, I can't tell if that was good. So that's my Mass Effect talk.
Okay, I'm gonna play a couple songs from Mass Effect.
Okay.
We're working the kinks out as we go along with this, so we'll see how it works. But so this is from the first game. I'm just gonna play a sample of a couple songs. I'll start with a theme. And then I'll just go based on most popular, because I don't know. There's over 30 songs on the original soundtrack for the first game.
Yeah.
And I don't know them based on their name, obviously. So that's just the theme song. That's the basic theme song. Oh, there we go. Picks up a little bit.
I definitely remember these.
Yeah.
This I don't remember.
I don't either.
This could be credits.
It's the most popular song. Yeah, it's gotta be.
This is gonna be on credits.
Wow, this is very.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I know that. Give me one more.
Okay. Yeah, this song I remember more than anything. It's probably the menu. It's like when you're the star map, right? Yeah. So when you're traveling around in space or your little spaceship thing, it shows that. I remember this more from Mass Effect 2 than I do from 1, though.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those, I guess, music cues kind of carry throughout.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it's a whole trilogy, they want to use the same music.
Yeah. That one was called The Citadel.
Okay, I think it's the first time you see the Citadel. Like, I guess,
like you're pulling it. It's like from the cinematics.
Yeah, what I'm doing, listeners, is I'm trying to picture where I can remember this song coming from. without obviously being able to see Chris's computer.
Yeah. So the reason that I put Mass Effect on my list was because the level that we talked about before, Mass Effect 2, is the suicide mission.
Mm-hmm.
Like that song I remember pretty well.
Okay.
And I will agree with you that there's a lot of like good music in the game, but you don't notice it. So it's a good soundtrack, but I don't know if they integrate it in the game well enough, because there's certainly games on our list where it's like the music is very important to what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, so the thing is, I feel like when Mass Effect is at its best, musically, not just it's when it's a cutscene and when there's either, you know, a moment like when in this suicide mission,
yeah,
when Shepard's giving his speech, his big rousing speech. I remember them having a big cue. Is this Mass Effect 2?
Yeah, this is suicide mission.
Oh, okay.
You can talk over it. I mean,
yeah. I'm giving it some, but like it builds, it inspires. Like it's all stuff that I guess emotionally affects me while I'm getting ready. Like a music cue to me can really heighten the mood,
yeah,
and like make me enjoy the game more. If like this makes me want to fight and survive and get home to all those people that I know I need to save, as opposed to just, I guess, you know, dead air or something that's not inspiring. But so while this is great, imagine now if it's the same greatness that's now just muted by a billion gunfire sounds and shots that's just hidden, where you can't hear the highs, you can't hear the lows, you can't hear the subtle.
It's very good orchestra music. It's great to listen to on its own, but it does sort of get lost in the whole fray. Like this is good, like when there is the beats that pick up, when there's the moment where they add instruments and it gets louder, you do sort of remember those cues as you're fighting. But it's like, oh, you hear the music for a second and you're aware of it, and then you go back to managing your fire team rather than listening to the music.
Yeah, especially I think the more controller input I need to do is the less my brain is focusing on the music. If I'm, especially Mass Effect, you're pausing to cycle through powers, you're changing your loadouts, like you're doing a lot of stuff on the fly that you're thinking about, like, okay, I need to use this power, I need to make sure this person's got a shotgun up and blah blah blah. Like all that stuff is also interfering with.
Right.
It's if it's that intense, but it's literally just like a run and gun, then it's different. To me, because then I like all I'm really focusing on is shooting and moving, as opposed to making sure like everyone's alive and all sorts of things. Yeah,
it's called like sensory interference, I think, when it's like, you know, usually it's the other way around. It's like, where if you're listening to music or something, you can't pay attention to something else.
Yeah.
Even if you're just looking at something, not like reading, but if you're looking at something, you can't always get both information at once. Like if you're driving and like you almost get in an accident or something, even if the radio's not very loud, you like turn the radio off. Yeah. Because it just helps you like focus.
Yeah, one thing at a time.
It works the other way in the games, where if you're doing so many things, you kind of, your ears kind of shut off to the background music because you're listening to, in this case, other sounds also.
Like, and I think the reason I put Mass Effect on right off the bat is I just got done playing the part of Mass Effect 3, and I won't spoil it, but where you essentially go to the Krogan planet and something very dramatic happens at that planet, and like that moment, it immediately I was just like, oh, this is like, based on the music I could tell like this was going to be a great moment. And then obviously it paid off, but of course it's cutscene based. But I remember the entire time I'm fighting on that planet, I don't remember music at all.
Just like that song I just played was The Elusive Man, which is like anytime he's talking, but that's all cutscene stuff. I don't know, I'm just jumping around here.
Like this would, I mean, you could take, I think, any of the Mass Effect game soundtracks and you could put them in a movie. And people and people would be like, wow, this is great. Because then you're really just watching and listening. Or if you were just to like listen to this on your own. It's fantastic, like what they did. It's just like I said, like to me it doesn't, it's on my list, but it stands out, but only certain things. I couldn't tell you where every sound is coming from, like I could with others.
I'm just gonna jump around the Mass Effect 3 one real quick, just a little samples, and see if there's a difference.
Oh yeah, like door closing sounds. That's good.
I don't know if this is the cutscene or not, but I think it's the first mission where you're trying to leave Earth. I remember some of these sounds from that.
Yeah, like this is like piano to me, amazing for soundtracks.
Yeah.
It really just to me like emotionally hits the right stuff.
Yeah. I will say I think we did some of this out of order because one of the things another game we both have on our list, I think, is a reason why this comes into that. We'll go into that. I think that was enough on Mass Effect, right?
Yeah, I think it's good.
So if you said Mass Effect,
yeah, you can steal one of mine if you want.
No, I'm not. No, I'm gonna throw a curveball. Maybe we should have done some of these other ones first, but I will say
you told me to pick any order.
I know. Okay, yeah, it's on me. I have a couple of older games, but I will say that one that stuck out just uniquely to me because I feel like there's a couple that's going to be on everybody's list and everybody knows that everybody gets it.
Yeah.
But one older game that I really remember the soundtrack from was Dr. Mario. So there's a couple iterations of that game, but even the first one was because it's a Tetris clone.
Yeah.
So what you do is it's a pill that has 2 different colors on it, and you have to match 3 of the colors to get rid of it. And sometimes there's little germs floating that you have to get rid of also. But because it's just a very simple puzzle-based game, you hear the music over and over and over. But it wasn't annoying. Like I really enjoyed it. This is going to be a harder song to find.
I'm looking for it.
That just got crazy then at the end there.
Yeah, that's why.
I believe that one was called Fever, right?
That was called Fever.
That's the best song I think out of all of them. There's also one called Chill that's not bad.
Yeah, I'm pulling that one up now.
Okay.
But why do you
I don't know, it's like a little jazzy and stuff. It's fun, like
yeah, I'm into this. I played a lot of Dr. Mario. And I think like especially for I guess I'd say like a puzzle game like this, you just need like this doesn't have to be the focal point. Like this isn't Mass Effect. This isn't gonna entice you to do anything. Like you still focused on the puzzle aspect. This is just something in the background that's great.
Right. And I think it might be one of those things too where it's like brainwashing me but I don't know it because it's the only audio input that I'm getting during the game and I'm hearing it over and over and over. I don't know. I think it gets stuck in my brain and I enjoy it and I like it. Like if it was bad, it would stick out, but it's so good that it just has stuck with me for 20 some odd years.
This is the title screen.
Oh, okay.
Which
I don't remember this at all. I don't think I spent a lot of time there. I just always hit start right away.
Yeah.
It just feels like there's more instruments in it than any other of the games at the time. All right, this is the main menu screen. This is what I remember. They tried to emulate.
I mean, that's definitely something that when I guess I could just talk about now because you're bringing it up. Just like older games. When I go back and I listen to the music of them, it amazes me because only so much. First of all, you got to think of back then, like the console is bare bones, like just trying to function, really, and only so much of that is like 3 different sounds, like beeps and boops and blops.
Yeah, and
to make a song that is not only like
recognizes it as a song,
but also something that's memorable where you're just like, this is great. And the way they had to do this with like no instruments, this is literally just like computer sounds, and to be able to like make a song like something that just sticks out where you're just like, it sounds like there's jazzy and it sounds like there's different kinds of instruments in here and you're just like, that's just beeps and bloops and it's different frequencies of bleeps and bloops,
and and not only does it sound like a song, but when they add other instruments in, it doesn't sound like noise. I mean, it might be part to the fact that, like I said, I know nothing about music, so it might be easier than I think. But I'm just very amazed that any sound comes out of that I can recognize.
Yeah, it's not just wow. Yeah, over and over again. I know I don't want to steal games off your list.
You can. I mean, this is just us talking about soundtracks. It doesn't have to be like.
But I think we can't talk about Dr. Mario without talking about this song that probably everybody knows, and that's the Tetris.
Yep.
Which I probably should have been
loaded up.
Not a jackass and pulled it up. Because obviously, like, Tetris only had one song.
Right.
And granted, it was, I believe, it was already an existing song before Tetris.
Yes, somebody. This is not the original song. Somebody added stuff to it.
Yeah,
but the original beat's there. I don't think any of us expected that to happen.
Yep, this is Tetris. This is how I remember it. But yeah, I mean, it's just so much of that stuff where I'm just like, yeah, this is great. This is pretty fantastic.
I do have Tetris just on my phone. Maybe I can bring it up and turn on the sound, but it's probably like a newfangled version of.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on it being anything. But yeah, I mean, like, Tetris, I guess, like, that's just songs people like had stuck in their heads that they would just repeat from playing Tetris for so long.
It's obviously a newer version that has more
synth
and, like, yeah, it's probably made with a lot more bits.
Yeah, but I mean, just like to replicate even a song like that in a Game Boy, nonetheless, because I mean, like, when Tetris came out, I mean, it's talking black and white Game Boy, and it still had a song that was so memorable that, I mean, now people could probably, you could walk up to probably 90% of people who've played Tetris and just ask them to hum the song, and they'd be able to do it.
Yeah, and at least if you hear the song, you know exactly what it's from.
Yeah.
And you probably start seeing blocks drop.
Yeah. Unless you're, like, you know, an actual, like, classical music person where you're probably like, oh, yeah, this is Bach or whatever it is. Because I know it's
not an original song.
It's not an original song.
They just made a version of it.
But.
Whoops.
On repeat. No, I had the dubstep in.
Yeah. That was pretty funny.
Do you have anything to add to the game that I stole off of your list?
No. I think we've said enough about it, because everybody knows what Tetris is. Everybody is familiar with the song, but I think it wouldn't be right if we didn't at least mention it for a second.
Yeah. Okay, well then I'll go again, since I'm just eating up your list.
Fair enough.
No, I'd like to also talk about something from your list. No, I'm just kidding. My next one I'll talk about, relatively recent game, just came out for the Xbox One as well. Valiant Hearts, which is essentially, like, I don't want to say it's a 2D adventure game, but it is a 2D adventure game. But I just remember, again, that's a real emotional soundtrack.
Yeah.
That, like, super heightened all of the scenes, and because it's not real action packed, you can enjoy the music while you're playing through the game, and it's gorgeous. I was gonna buy this soundtrack, except for when I completed the game, the soundtrack was $15, and it's only like 10 songs.
It's 11 now. At least this one that I'm looking at, it's 19 songs for $11.
Oh, okay. Maybe they must have added stuff.
This does, I mean, it's very time appropriate as far as when the game takes place.
Yeah, because it's like a, I mean, I won't spoil the game because I think it's definitely something that's, even if it's just on sale, it's enjoyable to play through. But it's a World War I game, and obviously World War I wasn't a super happy time.
No.
So I feel like the music is appropriate for the scenes when it conveys. Obviously, it's not people rejoicing and you're going and you're shooting a bunch of people in the face.
Yeah.
It's, you're dealing with war in a time when there's stuff like Agent Orange and people being poisoned and towns being ransacked.
And yeah, also the visual style of the game looks like a sort of watercolor painting.
Yeah.
And so this kind of fits with that sort of classical, time appropriate. Just, it's like there's a lot of sorrow in it in the song.
It
too.
is. I mean, like, there was. I feel like this would spoil the game.
Okay.
But I wanted to say, like, one of the cutscenes with the music, my eyes started to do that thing where they water.
Right.
But it wasn't a full
Your
cry.
eyes were sweating?
My eyes were sweating, and I was just like, I was so glad Caitlin was out of the room for two reasons. One, because I know she would have cried.
Yeah.
And two, because she would have seen me in a weakened state.
Right. Which you can't let her see.
Yeah.
That way.
You can never let anyone see
You can't let her
you.
dominate you.
And this game just made me think of another game that I didn't have on my list.
I'm not sure, but just looking on the artist list for this soundtrack, they're all completely different people, so I don't know how much was original or how much was taken from something else.
No,
So-
I don't know. I just remember, like, this game. It's a quick playthrough, but it's still like the soundtrack really stuck with me.
There's a little bit more of a action-based.
Yeah. I mean, because there are scenes where obviously you're fighting too. It's not all watching sadness.
Yeah. All right. I wish I could have faded that out, but sorry, is this Valiant Hearts or is this
No, this is what listening to Valiant Hearts' soundtrack made me think of this game.
Okay.
Which also, if we're talking about Phil tearing up at a video game, there's a game called I'm getting a little watery right now just talking about it. There's a game called To the Moon.
No, that's good, just your voice.
Okay. It's a game called To the Moon, and it's this indie, like, $2 computer game. And it's really, you're just going through a story. And it's just this one song, essentially, like, at prominent moments.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I don't know what to do. And then, like, the song makes sense in the story, too. So I won't spoil anything because it's like $2. But it's like, somebody learns to play the song in the game, and then so the song actually has meaning,
Oh, that's cool.
like in the world. But yeah, that's just my bonus. Like, when I heard Valiant Hearts, I thought of that game, and I'm like, I wonder if they have the song online. So I'll just add that to my list.
Okay, cool.
I see you got some Jack Johnson pulled up.
It just has the wrong. Yeah.
I do remember the Jack Johnson video game where you just
Right, the Curious George video game.
Yeah.
So my next game is Kingdom Hearts, and the reason that I put it on there was because just like the game that's a mix between like Disney music and it's really not that loud, so it's just hard to talk over it.
Oh, I do remember this.
Yeah, so like because it makes you feel like you're in sort of the Disney world. Like it has a lot of elements of sort of classical Disney cartoons, but it also has that sort of epic adventure, Japanese, almost like a Final Fantasy to it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll agree. Just listening to, like, when it starts up, if you didn't tell me it was Disney, I would pick up on that almost immediately upon listening to it, because it definitely does have a very Disney feel, which is obviously great because it's a Disney-based game, but also, like you said, like, it's also that adventure Disney as opposed to, like, Bambi being shot, or Bambi's mom being shot Disney.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely, like, I guess, stirring the, like, fantasy element of going on an adventure as opposed to, like, here's a scene that we're playing out for you.
Right. But yeah, it still uses like a lot of these. I'm gonna sound stupid saying this, but like yeah, this sort of like fantasy instruments, and it's like, you know, the sort of, I don't know if it's like the more like wood-based instruments and like the chimes and the cymbals, and it's sort of like got a little bit of a, what's it called? I like they're like chimes, you know,
Wind chimes.
you know, like it's like a series of chimes hanging up, and they sort of like brush against them, and it makes that sort of like
pan flute.
Right. Well, no, yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, this is why I should know words.
Yeah.
But there's just sort of, it just has this sort of an element of like magic to it and fantasy, and like it's a call to action. It feels like you feel like, yeah, I'm doing this stuff, but it's not like hardcore like a war game.
Yeah. No, exactly. Like I said, I mean, like I picture like right now, having barely played the game, it's like, you know, your little kid, like the whole world in front of him, like going to essentially save the world, but you're going to go through some brightly lit things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's not going to be like dimly lit corridors.
Yeah.
It's going to be like an open world of fantasy.
Yeah, very cartoony.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just get that from the song itself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very good.
Yeah.
And obviously Kingdom Hearts is relatively successful.
Right.
So probably because we're promoting it.
Yeah, that's usually
because
how
we
they
promote
get
it in the future, and then it gets back in the past.
All right. So that was my in-between game as far as chronologically ordered.
I'll talk about one that we don't need to pull up any songs from.
Okay.
One that we are playing. It's been a while, but we did play, and that's Saints Row 2.
Yeah.
And the reason I won't pull up any songs is for copyright issues, but
I think we'd probably still be okay. But yeah.
And plus, it's just current music. So like, unlike any of the other games where this music is clearly created for this game, Saints Row, I just feel, at least the second one, Grand Theft Auto has always been like heralded for like, wow, what a great soundtrack that they've selected. They've picked all these genres, and I've never really been that impressed with, I guess, a Grand Theft Auto soundtrack. And I know that they pay a lot of money to get their artists, and they try and discover new people. Saints Row 2, though, any radio station that we put on, or I put on when I'm playing, has songs that I want to listen to. And granted, I know I'm stuck as like a 90s, early 2000s kid.
Yeah.
So, and Saints Row 2 was made, you know, early 2000s. Well, probably late 360. I don't know. It doesn't matter when it was made. But it's like, it's just music that I listen to. But it's like, you can put on the classical section, and you can listen to classical. You can put on the old-timey section and listen to like the Final Countdown.
Right.
And just songs that, like, even if you don't listen to, you know the words to.
Right. And yeah, we've talked about it before, about how good the soundtrack is for that game. And like you said, GTA always gets the acclaim for best licensed soundtrack, but I tend to like the ones in Saints Row better. And I actually heard from a lot of people that the Saints Row, the third, has the best soundtrack out of all of them, but we haven't gotten to that game yet.
Yeah. I mean, just like, I just think of like listening on the like the alternative section, and it's like, it's a Paramore song followed by, you know, just a Muse song followed by, you know, other stuff, and you're just like, yeah, I have all these songs already on my iPod, and that's
why it's fun too, and it feels like a real world then, you know. And it's like, you usually only hear music when you're in the car, which is also kind of like real life, because like when you're going out fighting battles, I don't remember, I'm not saying it's not there, but I don't remember music happening.
No, I think it's
during the missions.
No, I literally think it's vehicle specific, which is great too, because I mean, you think, and something that they do that's really stupid, but I really get a kick out of, is if you get flung from your vehicle for any reason, your character essentially doesn't have time to turn off the radio, and so when you just walk near your car, you can hear the muffled song that's on the radio, and it still like syncs up, so when you get in, it's at that part. But I always just love like popping out of the car real quick, and the radio's still blasting, and you can tell where your car is based on like, I'm on the second floor, but I know that I'm still close enough to my car that I can hear, you know, Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, or whatever the song is that's playing. But I just think like, it's a soundtrack, but at the same time, it's just really picked really well.
Right. And I understand why they do it, but you know, each character has a different soundtrack, like you can listen to 2 different radio stations and different songs on those radio stations, which makes sense if so you're not forced to listen to something else. But it's fun, like when we're doing missions together and one of us driving, if we could like one person could control the radio and then we could just sort of enjoy the music at the same time rather than having to like listen to 2 different songs at once.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just one of those things that just like they probably didn't even put any thought into make those sync up. Right. They were probably just like, let's just have, otherwise they have to coordinate your...
Yeah, or it might be by design because they're like, okay, I don't want to listen to what my idiot friend wants to listen to because all he wants to listen to is like death metal.
Yeah,
and so it's like I want to listen to something a little easier.
Yeah, but I when we first started, I remember you being like, turn to this channel.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd be like, that's not the song I'm getting.
Yeah,
and
just get like a commercial or something.
Yeah, I'd just be like, no, the song that's playing for me is, Europe, and you're listening to, Toto.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I can't even remember all the songs that are in this game.
No, there's a lot of them.
But fantastic.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
I will piggyback on that a little bit just to talk about like licensed games.
Okay.
So obviously you have like, the Guitar Hero and Rock Bands and stuff. But I'm not going to count those because people know that. So I'm just going to say, DJ Hero 2.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, the only way to get the music from that is with the in-game audio.
Okay.
So it's going to have like the cheers and the stuff at the beginning. So just bear with us for a second. So if you're not familiar with DJ Hero, it's similar to like a Guitar Hero or Rock Band, but you're using a little turntable peripheral. So you got 3 buttons and a little scratcher and a little switcher between the levels, and it mixes at least 2 songs together. So every song you have is 2 songs, and I thought that a lot of like one had a lot of like rock songs that had like Queen and some other good stuff, but the individual songs in 2 I liked better. Here's just a great one everybody loves. So I know Phil has heard this before because
we've played
it together, and this is the song, one of the songs we like to play. But you get the point.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I will say that I'm not much of a
rapist.
A rapist. No, I'm not much of somebody who like does the mixes.
Yeah.
Like, but I will say that a lot of the DJ Hero songs are enjoyable. That they've kind of mashed them together.
Yeah.
And especially there's parts in the game where you can pick which mix
you have
to
control.
Essentially follow. And so you can think like every song you play could technically be different than, the last time you played it.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't want to say revolutionary, but pretty great.
Right, and you do feel like you're in control and you're actually a DJ when you get those moments of you actually are controlling the music. And like if you mess up and stuff too, it doesn't mix the same way, or like the beats don't happen in the right place.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun. Just jump around a little bit more. So your favorite?
Janet Jackson?
No, I was going to say a little Busta Crimes.
Ooh, Busta Crimes. Is he playing at the Panera?
Yep.
Check it out.
See, we're having fun just listening to it.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to listen to House of Pain, though? I guess that's the real question.
What you saying, yo? I came to get down. What you saying, yo? So get out your seat. What you saying, yo? I came to get down. So get out your seat and jump around.
I know.
Okay, we could just get lost listening to these.
Yeah, I will say that I don't know why, but House of Pain always makes me just think Happy Gilmore, which probably isn't the right.
I don't know if that's what they're going for,
to take, but
yeah.
I just think because I like Happy Gilmore was my movie growing up as a kid, so it's just like anytime I hear that song, I'm just like, oh yeah, Happy Gilmore.
Right.
I remember.
All right.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah,
again?
go ahead.
So I pulled up. This is a super recent song. It's just one song. I don't know if the soundtrack's any good because I'm not through the game yet. But some Octodad, Dadliest Catch. They have a theme song, and me and Caitlin were jamming to this.
Nice.
It's just I guess goofy. I don't even know if it's really that great of a song. It's just the whole game is goofy. And the lyrics,
That man with the three-piece suit,
just being an octopus in a suit.
making a dough with the log and fruit. Who's that man with
I
the
just wanna
eight
get to the
strong
part.
legs? Tried to make me breakfast, but it broke my eggs. Nobody suspects a thing.
The whole song of that, but I just love the chorus of Octodad. Nobody
suspects a thing.
Because the whole game, and I know I talked about it in the last episode, but the whole game of just an octopus that's pretending to be human, and the controls are so awful that it's just hilarious because clearly everyone suspects that you're not human just based on the way you walk.
Yeah.
But pretty great.
Yeah, I will use that to jump on my sort of funny one,
Okay.
I guess.
Sure.
It's not all the songs are funny, of course, but Portal and Portal 2. Mm-hmm. So that soundtrack was really great overall. There was a lot of sort of synthetic sounds and electronic stuff because as you're going through the different chambers, you know, there's just different music.
Yep.
And then there's things like, I don't know if you've played the second game,
No.
but there's like turrets and stuff that like sing like an opera, like a turret opera at one
That's pretty
point
great.
and stuff like that. Let me see if I can find it. I actually have the soundtrack for both of those games, but I don't know the name of things.
I hope it's just called Turret Opera
Yeah.
by the Turrets.
But yeah, I mean, it seems pretty intense, but like, but I just like this sort of digital, like,
Yeah,
sort of
you
coolness
said
to it.
there was another game that you're like, I didn't know I liked.
It's on the list. It's
Oh, okay.
like sort of synthetic, like
yeah,
yeah.
You're like, I didn't know I liked this, and now I realize I do.
Yeah. I know this is getting a little intense, guys, but okay, I'm gonna just jump around and see if I can find something.
Is this Portal 1?
It's both of them.
Okay. Say like I played Portal, but honestly, like I can't grab any music from my memory banks
Yeah.
to be like, oh yeah, I remember this. Besides the I guess the famous.
Right, which is why it was on the list originally, because
Yeah.
everybody knows about it, but the Still Alive, which is the credit song, but it's just hysterical.
Yeah,
I mean,
like this is the song that I know from
Yeah.
Portal.
which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's hard to overstate my satisfaction.
Yeah, this was, I mean, like, if you want me to care about the credits, you gotta put a song in
Yeah.
that makes me enjoy and not want to cut it off, and this is one of those songs.
Yeah.
All of us, except the ones who are dead. But there's no sense crying over every mistake. You just keep on trying till you run out of cake. When the science gets done and you make a neat run for the people who are still alive.
I mean, for those who want to follow along,
Right.
it's the robot singing to essentially people.
Yeah. So, and it's got the same. I shouldn't have talked over that, but it's got the same sort of sense of humor where it's like, it's very dry and she's a computer, so her tone can't change.
Yeah.
So she says something that sounds serious, but then super sarcastic.
Yeah.
And like the beginning of the sentence, you think it's going to be one thing, and then she'll follow it up by
Yeah.
something else that's then a joke.
I mean, it's still alive is just we're going to continue testing with the people that are still alive.
Right.
So-
And then she's adding things in like about the cake and other stuff that
Yeah.
you know from the game. This is one from the second one.
Okay. Is it still GLaDOS?
Yeah.
She was a lot like you, maybe not quite as heavy.
I'm gonna say at least initial listen is it's not as catchy.
No, I mean,
It's
it
still
certainly
alive.
can't be, but this is like the turrets have a little opera that they do, and this is part of it. Because they just use the sounds that they can make.
Yeah.
It's sort of like there's some as an orchestra and one of them that sings. I don't know where it is though.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot of fun sciencey sounds, a lot of like sci-fi music, but also like video game music in one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it definitely, like, I still get video game out of listening to it. It's not
Yeah.
just like this is in some techno club and all
And-
the people are bopping, I think it's...
And like I didn't really realize it until I listened to the soundtrack on its own, but it does really pick up the pace, so it really pushes you forward in the puzzle sort of thing. Like it adds sort of like an element of pressure and timing to it if you
Yeah.
normally wouldn't feel it by just sitting there trying to figure out what to do. Because now with the music, you're like, oh, I got to do this quickly.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that was mine.
Okay. I will go to another one that's not on my list.
Okay.
That your comment kind of made me think of. You don't need to pull it up because
Alright.
it wouldn't, I don't think, work without it being in. And this is just, I guess, a noteworthy one. Monkey Island 2.
Of course.
And the reason I just want to point this out is because they developed a music system. It's called iMuse for Monkey Island 2. And what it is it's one continuous track that changes based on what room you're in. But each one, like, it breezes into the next one by essentially just like it starts playing a song, but then when you walk into another one, because that's a different song, the way the first one ends is it kind of starts to change the instruments into the second version.
Cool.
So it seems like it's continuous and you don't even really notice the change. There's no like pause for a new song to start. It's literally just like the first song starts to blend into the second one, and it's maybe the soundtrack itself isn't notable, but I just like the way that they did their system, where it's essentially like you do notice that like all of a sudden you're starting to walk and all of a sudden you've switched to a whole new screen and the music has changed, but you don't know how you got there until you like start to pay attention to like, oh, okay, all of a sudden they start to bring up this sound and mute this sound, and all of a sudden it's new track already.
Yeah.
But I won't. Fine. So I will talk about. This is gonna be tough. I have 4 games left, and one of them you know them all. But anyway, okay.
Yeah.
I'll get this. I'll get through this. I will save my top 3 for my top 3.
Okay.
But so my next one is.
I'm running out of games here, so.
That's fine. I can talk forever.
Yeah.
You know me. Final Fantasy VI, which is US 3. A lot of these games, guys, you're going to see creep up on lists in the future,
Yeah.
too, because I kind of love them. And this was one of the first games that when I told my boombox story, that I would put the boombox next to the TV speakers just so I could kind of capture my own...
What do you think it would be called? 6? If I'm looking for the soundtrack?
Yeah, it'd probably be Final Fantasy VI OST. But I can pull up some stuff here.
Is there any specific song that you would like me to play? Because there's a bunch of them. I'm going to do Terra's theme. How does that sound?
Yeah, that's a good one. And this is, again, we kind of talked about it when it's just like, this was a Super Nintendo, which is obviously a little bit more powerful than trying to make sounds from an NES. But I can listen to any song, and to me it sounds very, like, orchestral.
Right.
And the thing is, like, this is still a Super Nintendo cartridge that is piping in this music, and it's just like, you can get instruments, you can get everything, and again, it's still beeps and bloops. Like, they're not recording a song with an orchestra and then somehow converting it. It's like, this is all just computer done. And again, I've played this game a billion times. This is also like nostalgia based, where you can play like a character theme and I could tell you what character you're playing.
Yeah.
I would go into, they got intro on there. I think it's got to be towards the top.
Just the intro song.
This fight scene. I can tell you right now, this is just battle.
Yeah, it's just Decisive Battle is the name of that.
I gotta know my alphabet if I want to find it. I can do this. Is this the...
It just says Omen. It's the first song on the track list
This
now.
might be it. Maybe it takes a while to get into it. Maybe skip like halfway. Can you? Alright, well maybe.
I don't think these are in any good order.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. And this isn't either. But like then this is which is the classic Final Fantasy.
Which everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. It's hard to talk about games musically that I enjoy because, like I said, I have no music background, so I just go like, this makes me warm inside.
Yeah, me too. And this actually reminds me of, I don't know if you're done talking about it,
Yeah,
but like,
we can move on.
It reminds me a lot of like my next one, which is Legend of Zelda, because it has those sort of like flutes and harps and sort of. I feel like that's Japanese games kind of nailed that sound with the low bittage.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so they kind of use that across everything. But I mean, I don't even know what to say as far as for Zelda. First of all, I mean the first game, it's another song that everybody knows. Like you can hear like 3 or 4 of those songs and know exactly what level it is. Like, I'm in a dungeon right now, or like you know. But I mean the great music I feel like continued throughout. Like even like Ocarina of Time had great music.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is Zelda again. It's one of those games where it's kind of, I don't want to say it's like Tetris in the fact that, like you said, like you can pick out a song and you can go like, oh yeah, I know where this is.
Yep.
I know where I'm at right now in this song. And there's some songs that people might not know. Like it might not be as universal when you start getting to the like specific dungeons, but it's definitely just one of those soundtracks that I guess sticks with me in a way. But kind of like what you're saying, like how they've perfected like flutes and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, to me that was like the fantasy instrument.
Yeah.
Like you're going in these fantastic journeys and it's this whole world's in front of you and it's very green and luscious when you start off, and you know eventually it's going to get dark, but at the same time, like, here you are, here's your awakening. Is there a particular one you were looking for?
No, I was just going to start with the the original, and then I'll play a couple from Ocarina of Time, I think, just so you can see the evolution.
Yeah, and
but
Ocarina of Time was great because you had a music instrument, so essentially anytime you played your 4 or 5 digit song, then essentially it went into a full song itself.
So good.
Yeah. That's the thing, is it's like it amazed me that, like, obviously a lot of this we've already established is nostalgia.
Yeah.
But it's just like, this was again 8-bit
Right.
little cartridge that probably had no memory for music.
I mean, it's like songs that go on for a long time because they don't know how long it's going to take you to do a specific action, that it just keeps going, and it doesn't really repeat that much.
Yeah, it's like it's not just they composed a 20-second clip that's, great 20 seconds, but it's going to go on, like, it's going to just repeat.
Keep repeating,
You said, like, they may have, like, some overarching theme, but you can tell that it's different than the first time you heard this part in the song.
Yeah.
You can tell that it's still changing and that it's still growing, and you're just like, this is one song,
right?
What did you guys do? Like, it would be to me so interesting if I could like go back in time and just kind of like sit alongside people when they were like composing these, like my favorite songs of the past, and just be like, how did you do the Zelda song? Like, were you playing an instrument? Like, were you playing on your guitar and you worked it out, and then you just tried to replicate it, or was it just like you were sitting at a computer, you're just hitting like
beeps and boops,
and you're like, oh, that sounds good. Reverse, doopa 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 doo.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if they tried to mimic real instruments, or if they used the sounds as like an instrument as itself, and then sort of built from there. That's interesting.
Yeah. What else you got? Hit me with another.
All right, I'll
Those
just
Zeldas.
jump ahead and see it.
Yeah.
This is. I literally just jumped ahead in the track of the entire thing, and this is.
Yeah. That's a pretty great jump.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is your dungeon. This is
Right. So I can just see the images on the screen as it's happening.
I'm playing it right now.
There was there's a moment in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the movie. It's kind of like the Dream Sequence where he goes in like his school hallway and stuff, and they're lightly playing some Zelda music that's mixed into other music, and I got like chills when I heard it the first time, just because of like nostalgia and like everything. It's like when you hear it, it's like a visceral reaction.
Yeah. I mean, like there's some music cues that would.
Oh, you died.
Yeah. Like if I was a professional athlete in, let's say, NBA 2K15, and the Zelda,
let's just say, yeah,
and the Zelda song came on in the arena, like I feel like
Yeah.
I would perform better.
better, yeah.
Like I would perform at my peak if
Yeah.
certain songs came on. Like I know people might be like embarrassed to admit, but I have so many video game songs on my iPod that it's
Yeah.
just like I don't care if they come on. Like I won't put it on shuffle when I'm in the car with a bunch of weirdos, but when I'm sitting at my desk at work, I will.
Yeah, so this is now Ocarina of Time, which is, you know, the Nintendo 64, so it's huge leaps technologically ahead of the other games.
Yeah. This Deku Forest. This started Deku.
No, I think it's just the opening theme, because it's using the sort of ocarina as the main instrument, other than obviously the piano, but...
Yeah.
But it was, I feel like it was one of the first games, at least that I can remember, that sort of had this, like, real instrument score to it.
I remember people buying the instrument and then trying to play the music from it.
Yeah. I have an ocarina. I have
you?
a little ocarina, yeah. A real one that I got when I was in Australia, but yeah.
This is in a shop.
This is not great.
This is when you get your horse. It's
Yep,
overworld.
right, yeah.
Yeah, just amazing that I can just like
Yeah.
immediately it takes you
Right.
5 seconds of a song and I'm just like
And it's memories you didn't even know you had,
Yeah.
right? It just triggers it. So this is, obviously, it has elements of the original theme there, but then they've added in a bunch of...
yeah.
I'm not going to call it nonsense because I like it, but you know what I mean.
Well, they've clearly like tweaked it to
Yeah.
bring it up to
And they're trying to, obviously, force emotions out of you. But you get the point.
yeah. No.
Zelda's great. All the
Zelda
Zeldas
is
are
great.
great.
Am I going?
Yeah, go ahead. You have more than me since you stole the ones off my list.
Yeah. How many do you have left besides the one we're both going to talk about?
Besides the one we're both going to talk about, just one.
Okay. So then I'll go one. You can go the last one. I'll go my second to last one, and then we'll both
Do that, yeah.
join in for final. Okay. So, this one is super. This one takes a lot of explanation, but I will try
Okay.
not to bore people. Again, we're gonna go Final Fantasy because I love it, and Final Fantasy X in particular. This is something that this game came out, you know, however many years ago, and something I just noticed this year upon listening to the soundtrack is that they use the same song in 90% of the music, but they change the instruments and at the pace that it's played, and it sounds like it's a completely different song.
That's cool. Do you have it, or do you need me to pull it up?
I could probably pull it up, but it might
Not great.
not be great. Is what I'm gonna go with.
Yeah.
It's mainly just because like you kind of you really have to, like, once you hear the part, and I don't know how far it is into each
So
song.
you have like the
It's-
chorus sort of part.
Yeah. So, and plus this is all MIDI files, so there's no
Yeah.
lyrics. But like this is the main song it samples. This first one that I'm playing. but then like you just go into parts of the game, and when I played the game, it didn't register for me at all. I'm just like, oh god, I really like this song, and it wasn't until I listened to the soundtrack and I could focus on it. I'm just like, wait, that chorus from
Yeah.
that song is used right here. Right here's the. Somebody opened up a bottle or something,
right?
And we're not even drinking.
You know, it's like a water droplet in a well or something.
Yeah. Let's see if I can then find exactly what I'm talking about so I don't sound like a weirdo. But these are, of course, all named something different. But the reason, like, because it did that, it just kind of amazed me. That it could change the way I hear a song without. This is gonna play. This is like a character's theme, and then it eventually like goes into it. I don't know if it'll be noticeable again, maybe
Yeah.
file, but what is just like the whole soundtrack is just like same part right here. It's like if you wouldn't notice it if you're playing because it's just like different instruments. Some of them are different pacings.
Yeah.
Some of them are quieter or louder. But it's just like you stole one song
Yep.
and you made an entire soundtrack out of it.
That's magical.
And that's amazing to me that I wasn't until this year that I was able to pick it up. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna play my favorite one and then I
Do
can
it.
be done with 10. Oh, it's a piano. This is like the intro. It's so sad. It's so emotional.
Yeah.
About a man looking for his home. Okay. That's it. It's called Xanarkand. It's the name of the song. But obviously, we're not going to sit here and play full 5-minute songs for fun. Okay.
Are you done with
Final
that?
Fantasy X. Yeah, it's my last Final Fantasy on the list, too.
Okay.
So, good work.
Um,
Good work, Phil.
all right, so this one is the newest game on my list, at least, which is Wolfenstein: The New Order,
Okay.
which came out this year, and just like many other elements of the game, the soundtrack has no right to be as good as it is. I feel like there's no reason that all this stuff is so great, but it just really is. So the game takes place, I believe, in the '60s.
Okay.
So some in the 40s, some in the 60s, but I don't know. The music is just really interesting, and it takes from a lot of different genres. And I'm just gonna start playing them in no particular order because I don't know what they're called. Because one, I don't speak German, and two, I just don't remember what they are. And then just sort of talk about those, I guess.
Sure.
Let's see if this is a good one.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it so far. Whole slow build. Yeah, this is. I mean, I will. Like, you've played Wolfenstein. I haven't.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't think like a shooter where you're just killing Nazis would have anything besides just like a rhythmic drum beat,
Right.
And maybe some Aerosmith guitar riffs.
Right, and that's like, a very slow building like string instrument
Yeah.
where that's like the focus too.
Like if I pictured where that scene would be again, having never played, I'd be like, this isn't a first-person shooter.
Right. And this might be a little bit more action packed. Let's see. So this is the theme to the game. This is like the main song. And it's like really intense, but it sort of has like a sort of like 90s like alternative feel to it.
I'm getting like 90s movie.
Right, that's
Credits.
what. Yeah, can't you see it? Yeah, like or like a montage, like some guys running in the rain or something.
Yeah, getting ready for the big fight.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can see that.
but it's still like it's cool and it kind of pushes you along and like you just kind of get into it.
yeah,
But it's certainly a different feel than the other song. But there's different moods in the game. There's parts where you're being stealthy. There's parts where you're using two guns to like rip people apart or like
Yeah.
slitting people's throats. This is another one of the more slower songs.
yeah, but I think that's what, like, again, it made me, like I said, like that second song you played, I
Yeah.
can picture that being, in a shooter game,
Right.
but just like, I guess putting the shooter genre and changing it, just being like, no, listen, we can we can do stuff that's
Yeah.
not just
And
Avenged Sevenfold
Right.
wailing on a drums and guitar.
And that song too, that we kind of came in at the crescendo of it, but it is one of those songs that sort of builds and builds and builds, so up to that moment.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just start off like
just-
nonstop and keep going. It's like
Yeah.
it's slowly, it adds instruments, it adds tension, and as you're playing through the levels, like it makes sense to, like that was the part where it's like you're at the end of the level and there's like a boss or something, you know.
Yeah.
This is another really intense one. Which is, again, I feel like it's very like 90s. It's almost like Chemical Brothers or, like a Fight Clubby sort of thing. But it's also like very industrial.
Yeah. I could see a 9 Inch Nails
Yeah,
kind of situation. You're banging on some drums and metal.
yeah. But it's, because in the game itself, the Nazis are pretty like advanced as far as like machinery wise. Like they
Yeah.
have like mechs and all these other cool, crazy things. Even though it's the 60s.
Alternate history.
Right. It's kind of intense, you get it.
I like the subtle guitar there.
Yeah. And this just kind of reminds me of almost like a Tarantino movie, almost like a slower parts of it, and just or like a Desperado sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it is. Like it is a little bit like Inglourious Bastards as far as the actual game goes. And so I feel like some of that bleeds over, where it's like set in a time period, but then it has more, current music, which is kind of what he does in his stuff.
No.
Let's see if I can find. There's a specific sound that I was looking for. Yeah,
See, now this is what
that's what you expect.
that's what I would expect
Yeah.
from a shooter.
So this is one of the sort of slower, but it's like the sort of sci-fi ones that I really liked.
Yeah.
I think this one is where you're on the moon.
Nice.
So there's a sequence in the game where you're on the moon and you're sort of out in space, so it's just kind of like silence around you because you can't hear much because you're in space.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, I just really like it. I don't even know how to describe it.
No,
But it just you kind of have that feeling of isolation, but also impending doom at the same time. And it builds like, let's see if it goes anywhere, but
it's you can kind of hear it building. I'm sure
Yeah.
the sample isn't long enough to.
yeah. But it's just that sort of thing, like you hear that noise in the background and you're like, is that something? Is that, I don't know.
Yeah. Is that the game or is that the song?
Right.
Or are you saying like, is that
Yeah,
something I should
But like,
investigate?
I don't know. It's like one of those things that it's like a very weird, bizarre sound. It feels very alien.
Yeah.
Like you don't know, is a machine making the sound, or is it like a creature making the sound, or is it because it's like a metaphor for something else? Like it just makes you feel uneasy and weird
Yeah.
and foreign.
No,
But I liked it.
I agree with you.
Then we got another one of those
Yeah.
action sequences. Yeah. This is another pretty decent song, and it's like middle of the road.
I feel like it's a good mix too. It's not just like here's the one slow song that we're gonna make the intro with.
Yeah, and then there's that, which is obviously
Now
at
we
the end of the
get-
song. Yeah.
Now we get some real guitar.
And I'll just play out the.
It sounded
last
like
couple.
80s to me.
I
that
know,
song.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like. It's the
A little too much, but
industrial dubstep.
right. But I mean, it fits with the tone of things, and then we get back to this sort of slow, somber stuff. But it really makes sense in the game. And like I said, there are sequences where you can be stealthy. Sometimes they require you to be, or you can choose. Like every encounter you have, you can go in completely stealthy, or you can go in guns blazing, or a mixture between the two. And that's the cool thing too. Is like if you start a mission stealthy and then you get spotted, the music will then change into something
Switch.
more intense.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's pretty seamless. Like you don't know.
Maybe they use the iMuse system.
Yeah, they probably do.
From the Monkey Island series.
Anyways,
No, it's a good choice.
Yeah.
Not one that I looking at your list.
Yeah.
Seeing a Wolfenstein on there would not be one I'd be like, yeah, that's probably got a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
But I mean, just listening to like the good mix of stuff, and then you can picture where it is in the game.
Yeah, and it like just going back to some of the things it reminded me of. Like I said, like Quentin Tarantino stuff, but also 28 Days Later. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
But it has like kind of really good soundtrack too that kind of gets dismissed. But there's a song called like "In the House in the Heartbeat," which it reminds me of one of those songs that we listen to, and it's like very similar.
That's when like the zombies loose in the house, right?
Yeah. Should I play it? I mean, it's not a video game song, but let me just see if I can get to it.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if this is appropriate to just play another song from another thing, but it just really reminded me of it, and I think it's one of the reasons why I like some of those songs. I should probably turn the volume back up, probably. Maybe I should like find the right point in the song.
No,
This is another song that starts off very slow and then builds and then has like violin or something
it's. I mean, yeah, this is probably by far their best song.
Yeah.
Because it does fit the scene perfectly. But yeah, it does. It has a real nice slow build that you think you know where the song's kind of gonna go, and then all of a sudden, like you said, it gets intense.
It's good because it's like really slow and somber and like the end of the world and like everything's empty, but then also like this big like trauma happens in it.
Yeah. I mean, and you think like the trauma has already happened at this point in the movie.
Right.
The big, people are turning.
Yeah.
And this is really like small scale, but for the characters that we're following, like this is essentially their chance at survival.
Yeah. It even has the same like color scheme of like the black and the white, the black and the red, and then just the white letters, as the Wolfenstein is the same cover. So
maybe
saying,
maybe there's a connection there.
Yeah, but also it's the Nazi colors. I mean, that's why
they
did that.
I mean, let's not.
Yeah. So should we just listen to this whole song? Do you think? Or?
I mean,
let's just a little bit more.
I mean, you don't realize maybe how slow the build is.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's because it's under action. It's not just on its own.
Yeah.
But
plus, they have to get to the part that actually has the intense point in the movie.
Could skip ahead, or we could just be silent until it happens, and then I'll cut that part out.
Oh, it's starting to pick up.
Yeah.
Probably.
And then it drops out again at the end.
Yeah, it takes you back to the start.
The slow, like.
Careful.
It just keeps building.
Yeah, it builds forever.
Anyways, it goes on for another minute, but you get the point.
We listened to 4 of the minutes. We just skipped the last minute. Fantastic. I will do my 2 shout-outs that I'm required to make.
Okay.
When Caitlin heard that I was doing a soundtrack episode, she contributed 2 games. One of them, Parappa the Rappa, which is obviously like pre-Rock Band Guitar Hero, pre-DJ Hero. It was your like rhythm game, Yeah,
it was all about music.
It was a musically game where obviously you're just rapping, but it's just like, each button corresponds to, punch, punch, kick, kick, and like they made the raps out of those essentially like quick buttons that you can do.
Yeah.
I sadly never played Parappa the Rapper. I know about it. I've seen the first level on YouTube kind of situation.
Yeah.
But also I know like that's a soundtrack that she actually
Enjoys.
still has.
Yeah.
And the other one, a little bit more recent, a little bit probably more famous, is Journey, the PS2 game, PS3 game, not 2, PS3 game, that essentially was up for a bunch of Grammys just being a video game, which they don't even have a category for video game music.
Right.
So the fact
Maybe
that
they
it
will.
gets nominated for like real composition pieces.
Is that what it was? Was it under soundtrack or was it?
I think it was soundtrack, and I think it was like something else. I think they had like 2 nominations. I don't think they won any.
Right.
But like you're being nominated for essentially like all those award shows are very like set in stone, like old school kind of thing. So for a video game to even get a nomination, you got to be like, oh, okay, holy shit.
It would be nice for one game to break through that and actually win, so other games can get at least looked at.
Yeah. But so those are my 2 shout-outs. All right, my last one.
Okay, I'm gonna throw another one in there.
Okay, do you want to go then?
No, I mean, you can go, then I can go, and then we'll do the one together.
Okay, we'll hold hands while we do it too.
Yeah.
Again, a game that people have probably heard me comment on more than enough is Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo. And I will fully admit that this is probably very nostalgia-centric. I've probably played this game more than I've played any other video game that has existed. But I can take any song from Chrono Trigger and I can tell you exactly what part of the plot it is, where it's taking place, probably who's in your party, maybe if there's a potion nearby. It's, in my opinion, fantastic. I was going to say frog theme. They got some frog theme action.
Do you want me to play it?
Sure.
Are you good?
Yeah, if you got it.
Yeah.
And this is just the character's theme. But even if you didn't know it was a frog, I feel like you get those
you would
frog
get that.
moments.
Like, this is clearly a guy that likes to hang out on a lily pad and eat flies. And you get that.
Yeah, you can get that from the song. But like, I'm making Caitlin play through Chrono Trigger, and all it makes me want to do is play through it again.
Yeah. How does she feel about playing through it?
She likes it. She enjoys. I mean, because it's she likes the kind of Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
And Chrono Trigger is definitely one of those RPGs where it's
Right.
also not, but it's not overwhelming. Where there's like,
No, it almost has the sort of Pokemon-esque menu system.
yeah, I mean it's really just real quick. Like
Yeah.
you have techniques and spells, or if you want to call it that, but like each character only has so many. There's no like overlap. There's no, I guess I don't want to say customization, but like it's not like you really have to work too much.
Sorry.
That's all right.
So this is the main theme, and not even really playing it, I'm familiar with this song.
Yeah.
So
There's also funny note is the musicians or the whoever the composer is that did this also released a CD, a 12-track CD of a jazz mix of all of them. But it's like you can picture like they went to jazz clubs to listen to it, and it's
yeah.
I don't think it's on there. It's like a $45 CD.
Okay.
I downloaded it illegally, of course, because I'm not an idiot.
Right.
But it's just like they took all of them and they recomposed them to like make them jazzy, and I'm just like, this is a goof. Like he went out and like made his own CD because he's just like, yeah, I like this soundtrack. Okay, so do your.
I'm gonna do my 2. Because I didn't officially put them on the list, I'll just do them quickly.
Yeah.
One of
Damn
them.
straight.
One of them is I felt like it was so obvious I didn't say it just because I've talked about it so much, but I really haven't talked about it that much on this podcast. So Toe Jam and Earl.
Yeah.
So the original one, Fan Bloody Tastic. Let's see if I can find something good here. Yes. So once again, it's back in that, I think it was 16-bit era.
Yeah.
But it was certainly the funkiest of all the music.
I agree. It's the funkiest of anything on our list, and we've spanned past that music.
Right. Let's just sit here and enjoy it for a minute.
Sure.
But it's one of those games that knew that it had really good music too and fun music. And in the menu, there's a little thing where you can create a beat, like every directional pad and button creates a different sound, and you can kind of remix it. And it does like a little music video on the screen as you're doing it. Like it like splits it up. It's very like 80s, early 90s music video.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's like crazy designs. And let's jump ahead and see what else is here. Nope, just the one song. Just jamming. Oh, here we go. This is all part of the same song, and it changes up beats and tones because it's, you know, it's a Genesis game and it just goes on forever.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of different actually songs within it. Oh, here we go. Got a playlist. Got all the songs here. Nope, that's a commercial.
Damn you, YouTube and your commercials.
Yes. This is Big Earl's bump.
I can clearly tell that Chris may or may not have played this game.
Yeah, I was conducting the music. So funky. It's so funky, but yet so different.
All right, what's the other game?
Almost done.
Yeah, real quick, he said. Real quick, he said.
Oh yeah.